Hello, my name's John and welcome to Nanome. Today we're going to be going over one of our several features, data table. I'm going to teleport over here and we'll begin. To start off, we're just going to locate where data table is. Data table is one of our many plugins and it'll be found here in the stacks menu. All you have to do is scroll down to the D's and we'll see data table right there. Click activate and then run, and we'll then have data table automatically pop up in your web browser. Now, if you want others to see your web browser like you can see mine, you'll need to click the share toggle right up here at the top. Now, what we can see here is that we're going to need to have an entry to begin. The best file to use to provide the entry needed is an SD file. Its metadata makes it really easy to bring in information from other tables, other platforms that you're using. In this case, I brought in some bioassay data with my docking results. Already loaded in the docking results here. You can see this right in the middle. And so we're going to come over here to the drop down, click on docking results, and that will load in all of the ligands within it. Now, before we get going, there's a few other things that I like to do that just make it a little bit easier to work with. Up here in settings, we're just going to make sure our font size is large so it's easy to read at distance, and we toggle on our large thumbnails so it's easy to see which ligands are which. Last, I like to clean up my columns. The fastest way to do that is just to kind of clear all the columns by clicking up here in the top twice. And in this case, I'm most interested in my log P, my docking score, minimize affinity, and the PIC50 of the molecules I have. I can just click off of it now, and I can see that I have just those columns here. I have a decent font size, and my thumbnail size makes it really easy to read even at a distance. Now we're ready to go. The next big thing that makes using data table really easy in a group is now instead of cycling through each one, I can see each one before I select it. And let's say I want to look at this one. Looks a little bit like a steroid. I'll just click on the row and we'll see the highlighted row is the one that I'll see in the space. In this case, we'll bring in our protein now. This is a EGFR crystal structure. I'll hide the ribbon. In magenta, we can see gefitinib, the original ligand in the co-crystal structure. And now I can compare docking poses, and their scores and other values against that in the pocket really easily, just by cycling through, by clicking on each row one at a time. The next great thing that we can do is, let's say I want to be able to, I can easily sort them. So let's say I want to see my best docking scores at the top. All I have to do is click on our little arrows here to do ascending or descending order. If maybe I want to filter these, I can always click on the funnel here. A great way to figure out how to set up your filters, if you don't already know the value that you're going to use, is I often like to go into graphs. In this case, I'm going to use minimized affinity, and on the x-axis, I'm going to use the PIC50 value. And I'll make my graph a bit bigger. So now I can see, where I'm getting maybe a little bit of clustering towards the bottom, but the better minimized affinity. Maybe I want to do a cutoff around, 6. So I'll get anything that has better than micromolar. Great. I'll just X out of my graph here, hide it here, and now I'll make sure I filter my PIC50 so that it has to be greater than 6. And I'll just enter that using the keyboard. And I'll also want to make sure my minimized affinity is also going to be less than, and we'll just do, we'll do something less than negative. We'll do -8. And we'll apply this right here. I'll lock this back up. So now I have, filtered this down to a set. And what I can do is I can now go into selection mode. Select all of the ones that are now filtered. And I'm going to duplicate it into a new single entry of filtered docking results that I can now see as my second entry of docking results here. I can hide these, and I can realign these together. Make sure they stayed locked. And then I can exit my selection mode, and now I have a much smaller set of molecules that I want to focus on easily using this filter here. All right. Another great feature within data table is the ability to, not just see molecules, but to sketch them. So there are two ways of doing this. I can either come in here and do a whole new sketch based off of some things that I'm seeing that I'm interested in. And, I can click on any ring, I can bring that in. I'm just going to do a simple benzene here. And we can see it loads right in right there. And we can see it as VNM0001. Virtual nanomolecule is what VNM stands for, venom. And we can see this comes right into the table. Now, the log P is calculated in nanobio, chemical properties, but I haven't docked this molecule, nor do I have assay data, so those are going to remain empty. Alternatively, I could also come into here and I could, make just a small adjustment to an existing structure here. I'm just going to get rid of the fluorine there, and then we'll save our new molecule. And we can see we have this new molecule right here, and we're now going to have that second molecule. Great. So here I'm just going to hide our two molecules, and this is how we can kind of sketch and do this. In a separate video, we'll show you how to do that with a team member where you're both able to sketch at the same time. All right. Now, last set of things that we want to do, now that we've seen how to sketch new things and we know how to graph, filter, and search, it can definitely be really good to go through this data table and take a look at it. But at some point, I might want to look less at the numbers and more at my structure. So here, I'm going to go ahead and hide. I'm going to hide one of these structures here as well. I'm going to get them in a little bit closer. And I'm going to use the Docking Results Advanced menu. The Advanced menu is just to the side here of the zoom button. Can lock this in place or use it the way I like to use it, which is bring it in a little bit closer, make it a little smaller. I'm going to choose my minimized affinity tag, and then I can sort it by that value. And now, as I run through here, I can see each of these very easily and just kind of switch through them while focusing more on the structures. Once I have a reasonable set, I can always reinvestigate the numbers, but I might just be really interested in seeing how this all turned out and how these docking results really fit in. I can still, just like before, come into here and use the ranking system. And so I might have some of these where this pose doesn't look very good, so I'm going to definitely rate that as a 1. But I have some here that are really, like this one here, that are really great. And I want to make sure I qualify this one as well. So thank you for paying attention and seeing some ways that you can use data table with, the advanced menu and docking results in your workflows. I hope it's been helpful.